shit, there it is. Oh, there it is. Boom. Scotty Too Hottie, what's up, man? Thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here, man. I remember that air horn from last time.
Oh God, that awful thing. It's still here. It's still going. It's funny. It's funny because the air horn it went away for a long time. Like after I left San Diego, the air horn and all the sound effects went away for a really long time, and then I brought it all back once I started the Twitch stream. So. There was a couple years without the awfulness.
Was that like Kiss without the makeup? Was that era for you?
No, actually, it's funny because that's the era where the show grew the most.
The reverse effect.
Yeah.
Because of the sound effects.
Yeah, like everyone hates the show. Everyone didn't want to be here. I mean, I like the show, but if only he wouldn't play that fucking air horn every 5 fucking seconds. I used to be very heavy with it. Very heavy. I use it as a crutch, some would say. I didn't have anything to say, so I just hit the
a little sprinkle of salt.
I do have this now, though. I do have this. Here you go.
Hello and welcome to We Speak English Good TV. I'm your announcer, Seth Rogen. Now, everyone, put your doobies in the air or your hands together, whichever you prefer, for your host, Mike E.P.
That's me.
Yay!
That's me. Thank you, Seth. I appreciate that. Anyways, how you been, man? How's lockdown for you? How has that been?
Well, before I go there,
let's go.
Rogan thing. I have had like many years I had a dream or a vision of like curating all these messages or things that you could say to a crowd and like automating it like that. So during shows, I just never would have to speak to the crowd and could just press buttons and like change the city name each night if we were touring.
Hello, Austin.
How much I love being a front person and interacting with large groups of humans.
So, I mean, yeah, is that just part of the job that you're not that keen on? Is that why you want to do that?
I don't love that part. Yeah, I don't love I love music and writing and guitar playing and instruments and gear, but I don't love like being like one night after a show, a friend from high school came and saw me and he was like, and like there was a big crowd and I'm like, hey, how's it going, everybody? Like after the show, he's like, you're like running for mayor. You're like kissing babies. And there's an element to that with live performance, or especially if you're kind of like the singer where it's like, you got to be everywhere. It's like, like your wedding day, you kind of got to like say hey to everybody for a couple minutes. And like that part tires me out because I'm more of an introvert.
Yeah, me too, man. I feel you so much on that because like I'm not even a front person and I'm mostly a supporting act or a supporting member of the band. So even when I'm being bothered, it's like, hey man, that was awesome, bro. It's just like I appreciate it, but it's like I'm like, especially like if you're playing one of those gigs where you're playing like 2 or 3 sets and you just want to like go chill somewhere and just get away from people and they're just following you around like little puppies and stuff. But it's even worse when you got like a female front, like my wife, where they're just trying like, let me touch your hair and like like let me grab you and like talk to you all close and shit.
Creepy with female fronts, that's for sure.
Dude, it gets creepy. It gets creepy. People think that they own, I mean, you know how it gets, people think that they own you somehow because they bought your record or they paid for that ticket and now they can just
like thing where like infatuation crosses with like wanting to like murder somebody. Like, like the Beatles, like back in like there's this I love him so much. I want to like rip him apart.
Yes.
Like, what the
That's insane. Like people like in those crowds, like girls are like peeing themselves and like and like it's just I couldn't imagine what the smell was like in that room. It's just like all these like prepubescent like stinky teenagers like pissing and shitting themselves because Elvis is on stage.
I always kind of been preoccupied with the audio aspect of the shrieking. That's what they talk about. They don't talk about the essence very much.
Yeah. Oh, whew. Yeah. No, the essence is always you got to talk about the essence because the essence is there. It's something that's like no matter what, if you're going to a concert as a participant or a performer, like there's certain aspects of the show that gets a little messy. It's just how it goes. uh, but yeah, you were. Yeah, I don't like talking to people either after shows or between shows. What is that something that's always been a constant for you? Has you always just been like, oh, I gotta get off stage and just go somewhere else?
Struggle with it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
struggle with the interaction of like social time and like fun time with like work time, because I just take music pretty seriously. I'm just like very passionate about the craft of it, and so sometimes it feels like that other stuff just like impedes.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
I
Like
do.
like a Michael Franti show. If you've ever seen, it's a lot of like, "How you feeling? Now everybody scream!"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kind of feels easy to me. I don't
Mm.
know. Like it just like, but that being said, I can't really do it either.
It's real. It seems
Maybe
easy
it's
just to get people
yeah,
pumped.
Starger.
It's like it seems real. It seems a little too easy to get people into your show. Pfft,
Yeah,
losers. No, but I get what you're saying.
it's a formula.
It
It's a
is.
very like proven,
Mm,
like kind of very easy formula, which
exactly.
would probably be, yeah, I'd probably sell more tickets if I just succumb to it, but I can't seem to bite the bullet.
Hey, Austin, let me hear ya.
I just don't like that, because even when I'm at a concert and someone does that, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't kind of want to just hear the song, man. I don't want to scream and put my hands up in the air. Like, why am I performing? I paid $20 to put my hands.
You want me to fucking write you a song too, motherfucker? Leon Lounge, what's up, buddy? Welcome in.
Cheese plate you got backstage. Maybe I'll join in.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta pay, man. You pay to play, baby. Yeah, man. So then, were you when like especially back in like your fucking rock star days? Were you not very present? Like, was there partying? Were you not much of a partier? Like, did you like? Was it like? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I partied.
Oh, you
partied,
part.
yeah,
Okay.
maybe the most, but
Oh, I see. I see. Because, well, no, because I get that aspect where it's like if you're so uncomfortable with this situation when like you find your comfort on stage, right? Like you're most comfortable on stage performing, playing your music, and then
sometimes, yeah,
yeah,
depending on like what song and the environment and stuff.
mm,
But yeah, I know what you're getting at. Yeah, it was uncomfortable, and yeah, and I think I think many people have a couple beers before they play,
mm,
to kind of ward off some of those nerves,
yeah,
and then just like the nerves of like the environment. So I mean, it's like, yeah. So I did that. I think, I mean, for fun, but yeah, also just to kind of like, because if I don't drink, or whatever, it's like I don't really want to be around a large group of people.
I feel you. I feel you. As soon as I stopped drinking, I was yeah, I immediately my social life was dead. It was dead.
That's how it
DOA.
do. Yeah, I stopped drinking over 10 years ago, and
Wow.
yeah, same thing. It was like, yeah, I don't. Why would I want to go be around like 30 people talking like this close to my face and smelling what they ate and like.
Yeah, it's almost worse than an arena full of fucking teenagers. It's like you don't need that kind of that it's just not like when you're drunk and you're doing it and you're talking loud and over your friends. It's like yeah, we're having a good time, but it's like man,
Hugging, you're touching, and
yeah, it's all good.
it's like it looks like the scene in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas where everyone's just like turns into the dinosaurs slopping on each other.
Yeah. Exactly, dude. Oh my god, no. Those moments, man. Those moments too. Those moments when you're like really fucked up on one kind of drug and you walk into a place and it's like I know those feelings when
Or on
like
the other kind of drug.
you're just walking and it's like everyone looks at you and it's like everyone knows you're on drugs or something, but it's probably in your head.
Really drunk to a bunch of people, in a room full of people tripping. You're like,
Oh God, that's awful. Oh my God. No, I went to my friend's once and me and my boy were drunk and on drugs and we just showed up at my friend's house and he had eaten a bunch of mushrooms and he was like deep into this like by himself trip. And we're just sitting there and he's like sitting there on a couch, like his legs bouncing up and down and he's just sort of gripping the edge. And me and my boy are just talking like, doing the whole drunk drug guy thing. And he just stops it. He's just like, you guys gotta go. You
Yeah.
guys gotta go now. Like, you guys gotta go right now. And we're like, what the fuck, bro? You did, come on. And he's like, no, you guys gotta go now. I get it. I get it.
Totally get that, man. Drunk people are just fucking, oppressive.
They are very.
The less I drink, the longer I don't drink, the more I'm just like, I just hate being around drunk people.
It's true. You know what, man? And it's I quit drinking for about 6 years, and then I had a slip up, and then a couple years ago, and then just I went to I vacationed in San Diego last week. I think that was last week. And it, like after a year of lockdown, after a year of fucking, I haven't seen my friends in a long time. And it was my old band when I was playing out in San Diego, and we were hanging out. We did a podcast, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to have some drinks. Well, turned into me begging my wife to let me suck her dick. Like I feel really bad for my wife because she had to deal with a lot of horrible drunk mic moments. And like, I just feel bad that she had to like, at the end of the night, just like the old days, they just drop me off at the front door and I just go in and terrorize the house and until I pass out. And so like, I feel so bad. And like, it just totally made me not want to drink for a long, maybe never. I don't know. But it's just like that. It's just like, it's that kind of behavior that I hate seeing in other people that exist in myself.
That usually leads to, I just don't like, seeing myself like that. Like, maybe I should take some time off.
Yeah. No, I don't like it. I don't like it either, man. I definitely don't like it. What were you, what kind of drunk were you? What kind of?
It's not really like, I've definitely made some scenes and caused trouble, but it wasn't like, I wasn't a blackout drunk, which was almost worse because I would always remember everything I did. Like, but it was like, I would just get drunk to a point of like, I don't fucking care. I'll do anything right now.
Yeah, that's the best one.
And that was fun. For the most part, I was actually pretty fun to hang with and party. I didn't like turn violent or or anything like that. Like sometimes I'd get a little sad. Yeah. But it was just kind of like make a lot of bad decisions.
Yes.
After that many drinks, and then just not feeling good, feeling like bloated and like your nerves start to like feel shitty after a while.
Yeah, it's nothing but like feeling like shit and anxiety for a week until it's time to go again. Well, that's Weekend Warrior.
I really even liked the feeling of being drunk that much. It was like more of a functional, like being on tour. I would come home from tour and it wouldn't be like, generally would not be like a big drinking thing. Mm-hmm. It would be more of like a function of just like being out there.
Yeah. Yeah. You kind of, like as much, I know we kind of like touched on it, but like as much as, you love doing that thing, it's like there is this emotional toll and there's just a huge toll on the body physically and emotionally being on the road and interacting with that many people and that kind of input. And especially on your level that you've experienced over your lifetime, that's a lot of input, man. So I couldn't even imagine being on that kind of, Bonnaroo and then fucking have to go out into that fucking feeding frenzy and then not be some kind of fucked up, that's just so much input that for someone who's not like mentally prepared for that, it'll fuck you up. So you have, like, I feel like you have to have something in there to sort of protect you, even if alcohol is not the best, a best ally in those moments.
That's what people do. That's why it's so prevalent with musicians and touring, people. It's like, Keith Richards talked about like heroin was like his, like, I feel it was like a shield or a mask or like a, like some kind of like a stoppage from information coming in all the time. It doesn't have to be like that. Part of it's like your own perspective and your own like fucked up shit. Mm-hmm. If you get healthy internally, you can process that in a way. Like you just have other methods, right? Rather than like ingesting, alcohol and pizza and drugs.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that you got a lot of people, especially musicians, running around out there with mental health issues that are going unaddressed, and they're just running around the country fucking So it's
nice. It's also, though, that being said, it is a nice escape from yourself to like barrel ahead on tour and in a career in a new town each day. It's
Right.
like you don't have to face yourself
Yeah.
as, you know what I mean? Like you're not seeing your family every day or you're the same people every day. I mean, the people on the bus, but it's like we're all broken together.
Right. That's why we're here, right? We're just broken enough that it works.
Broken enough that we need the the love from people we don't know every night while being on stage.
That's tough though. That is really tough though, to like vying for the general public's love, like that is
Yeah, it's so weird.
it is weird, man. It's like what deficiency are we trying to fucking fill here, Like what? I don't know. What was it for you? Why do you think that you still fucking jump in a van with a bunch of stinky dudes and run around fucking the country?
Well, now I do it because I like the my band a lot. Like we were on a Zoom call a while ago and we were talking about like, yeah, I miss you, dude. Can't wait to get out on tour or whatever, and it was like we all kind of came to this conclusion that like we missed just hanging. Like we missed the hang, like the after show Motel 6, like 6 dudes on a bed while going through our favorite, like most inspirational, like YouTube music videos. Checked out Ernest Ranglin, like wow, like that, or just like the first, like right when you get in the van, like the first like hour of conversation is always the best, know.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. That I miss the boys. Yeah, because I feel like once you get older and you get past some of those like young man ego trips that you got to get past, I feel like then you can sort of like really connect with your band, especially if you can make it through. Like if your band as a whole can make it through all that period, I'm sure it could be fun. But when you listen to like the Mick Jagger and Keith Richards still have like this little bitch thing going on, a little bitch fit that they throw at each other.
That comes with success, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the other part. It's like when it turns from just like this passion project where you guys don't give a fuck. I mean, as long as we can get gas money to the next gig, bro. And then,
if everyone loves what they're doing, and believes in the music, and you're all on the same page, that's the best, man.
Yeah.
Because you can be happy. My whole trip is like you got to be happy just playing with the guys and playing the songs you're playing. And if no one's there, you'd still be enjoying that process, and then just kind of like stack everything on top of that incrementally.
Yeah.
Like, because we've started shows, at like some earlier tours, like to the sound guy and the bartender, like Crested Butte, Colorado, like on a Wednesday.
Right.
To do a great show, but it was like one of those things, all right, here we go.
Yeah. What's it like, man, to like, be on, coming from, the success that you had with the Nocturnals and then sort of starting a new band and a new chapter and like sort of, and now you're like sort of in the middle of that. I mean, when we first talked, you were sort of at the beginning and now you're, I mean, I guess it's not the middle according to what, but you're well into it now and you're more established into your band Elektric Voodoo. What's that like coming from, like that big surge and then sort of have to start again, with humble roots?
It's hard. To be honest. I mean, the second gig we played was at the 710 Beach Club and we opened for a cover band. And that cover band played the song Medicine by Grace Potter and the Nocturnals, which is a song that I wrote.
Oh my God. That has to be fucked up. I'm glad you can laugh about it. I'm glad you can laugh.
Hilarious. I mean, I love it. I love that story. It's just like the ultimate, like test.
Yeah.
You really want to do this?
How did that hit you in the moment?
It stung, but like it was funny too, though. I mean, I always saw the humor in it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of.
I was trying to leave through like the main audience. I had to like pick up the merch and I was like doing that like head down scurry out the door. Like, all right, let's call this a night. And you like called me out from the mic. Like there he goes.
Oh no! So they knew who you were too.
I mean, he was a sweetheart. I think he was proud. Like he bounced it off me before the show. I was like, I think they also had like a 2 hours, you know, 2.5 hours of material barely, and that's how long the set was, you know. So it was like they kind of couldn't.
Yeah, they had to play it. They didn't have a choice.
I know, I've been in that position, you know.
Yeah.
Those,
Oh, sure.
yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, he's like, he wrote this, you know, it was like Jazz Odyssey in Spinal Tap.
Yes.
Did you ever watch that when they open for the puppet show?
Yeah.
And they played the jazz fusion tune,
Yes.
Jazz Odyssey.
It's like-
And what's his David St. Hubbins was the singer. It points to the Derek Smalls. He wrote this.
Yeah,
Three people in the audience. The one guy's going like this.
Oh my god, it's been so long since I'm gonna watch that movie now. It's just been
It's
years.
like that scene's overlooked. Everyone goes to the turn to 11 scene.
Right.
The subtleties in that movie are better.
I think you're right. Like the cast and just that movie is just a perfect movie. I mean, all those movies.
When they're bouncing the record reviews off them, they're like, so what do you think of do you think that these reviews were a bit harsh? Or, you know, this one, you know, outlet had 2 words for your album, Shark Sandwich. Shit sandwich. A tad nitpicky.
Damn it. Oh shit. Dude, I'm gonna watch that movie again. That it's just such a classic movie, and like all the movies that they did, you know, like Best in Show, and oh god, there's a few of them, but it's just genius, man. It's like The Office before The Office, you know, like
Brilliant.
that concept. Yeah, man. So I was actually talking to you before the show, and I was. It's funny that you said that cover band was playing your song Medicine, because at the time when we did our first interview together, you were kind of like, you know, I said you were dancing around it when we were off air, but like you were very open and you were very talkative. It's just certain things you were sort of scurrying around for reasons, for good reasons, I think. But at that moment, if you would have told me that, because you kept on saying the Nocturnals, I'm like, why do I know that name? Why do I know the Nocturnals? And like you were talking about, you know, I think you're on Hollywood Records or something, and you know, like you're talking about all these things, and I'm like, why is that so fucking familiar? And then I found out it was Grace Potter, and because at that moment I was learning medicine for a cover band. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where those sweet royalty checks are coming from.
Yeah, baby. Dude, is that a real statement though? I mean, like, do you still get royalty checks from those songs and stuff?
I do a little bit. I mean,
Nice.
I'm definitely not paying the rent with it, but you know,
Once in a while.
it helps. Yeah,
Fuck yeah, man. Anything helps. Anything fucking helps.
for sure. I love it. I mean, writing to me, you know, the idea of royalties like that is just like to the lazy man inside of me. You mean I get money every month for some shit I did like 5 years ago?
Yeah, that's that passive income is where it's at.
Do that job. Yeah, the whole like you know, the TV shows is where it's at. Like Seinfeld, like Jerry Seinfeld. Like once the show gets syndicated,
Yeah.
you know, that dude's getting like, you know, I don't even know what he's getting, but like
Just
mailbox money that just he doesn't have to do anything.
nothing. And he's just out there making jokes just because he likes to now. It's just
Which is interesting to see what do you do, you know, in that game of like, if you won the lottery, what would you do? You know, it's like, what do you do? My parents just retired. Similar question. You know, it's like, what do you do all day?
Yeah.
What gets you up in the morning? You know?
Yeah, that seems awful. I would never want to wake up and be like, what, you know, like, I feel like having stuff to do. I mean, especially during this pandemic, having like the podcast to really dive into really helped my mental health at least stay stable as it could. And it just having something to passionately be into. Like, I'd never want to be at a point in my life where I don't have something passionate that I want to pursue. Now, do I want to get a point in my life where if I don't want to do anything in a day, I don't have to? Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. But I don't want to get to a point where like I have no reason to live and I'm just watching TV now. You know what I mean?
Being depressed. Yeah,
that's just sad. That sounds sad. You know, with your parents, and my mom's facing the same thing. My mom is about to retire, and she's been able to retire for over a year now, and she just doesn't want to because she's just not ready. You know, and
I think that's fine. I was
Yeah.
like, I read some article about this. Like, someone did a study essentially of like where in the world do people live the longest,
Mhm.
and they found all these little pockets and averages and like, and kind of surveyed and canvassed all those areas as to like, well, why is that happening? How do they live? What's their lifestyle? What's their nutrition?
Mm.
And a lot of it was people didn't retire
Oh.
really ever, but I mean their workload would minimize, and like, and there were other factors too, like with nutrition and like not like exercising intensely like we do in the States as much, but
Mm.
just integrating like physical movement into
Right.
every day. Also, the other one was like elevating elders into like kind of having a higher status on someone, or being respected or revered within their culture,
Mm.
like their opinion mattering. Whereas, like again, the United States culture is just like, you're over 40, like lame,
Canceled. Get out.
corny.
Yeah. Fucking boomer.
Yeah, there's just this hatred for our elders and this,
Just- Well, we blame them for all the white supremacy and the and the fucking and the hatred and the division, right? Like anyone over 40, it's their fault. If you're over 40 and white, it's your fault.
I mean, I think like the boomers, like they made a nice effort,
Yeah.
but then they totally sold out.
They
They
did.
tried to be yuppies in the 80s after all that blow they did in the 70s.
Yeah, they got a taste of real money back then. They're
I mean, the generation before that's even worse, like that's where the real
oh yeah, that's real racism right there. The 50s.
grandparents were really gnarly.
Oh yeah, I still have Mexican uncles that are fucking blame the Jews for everything. So it's not it's there. It's even even the next generation. Dope, I made it. Hey, what's up, Papa Sweet? Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, the whole idea that like you're worthless after a certain age is just such a sad thing, and it's like it's so
Closer to that age.
yeah, of course. And then when we were like 20 or not 20 even, like when I remember when I was like 16 and my friend was like 25 and I was like, wow, they're fucking old, bro. And it's just like you hit that moment of 25 and you're like, nah, I'm still good. And then you're 30. Then my fucking hair started falling. I was like, "God damn."
Changes start happening. That's when you're like, yeah.
Yeah, well, then you start seeing things a little bit more with open eyes. I feel like when you're young, you kind of get this narrow view, and we even touched on it earlier. Like when you're young, you have this ego, you got this idea that you're never gonna die, and you're just gonna keep going. And especially if you're young and have success, and and you're in a rock and roll band, I couldn't imagine that shit. Just having that sort of laser fucking, you don't see peripherals. I mean, especially if you're moving at a rate that you were, or someone who's young and successful is going, if you're moving at a rate that fast, I can't imagine seeing outside of fucking, taking a step back from that.
You don't want to. That's the comfort in it, I mean, I think that's like the excitement of traveling fast everywhere and being in the, fast lane, so to speak, like does kind of dull those other things. I mean, it dulls the whole like, spiritual quest, the why are we here questions, the whole like, dealing with sadness, dealing with aging, all the scary shit is kind of like, well, I don't have time to think about that today.
Right.
I need to go rock out.
Go fucking, hello, Austin! Let me hear ya! Scream! Oh my god. No, yeah, but then like on the other side of that too is like when you get to a certain age, like these thoughts of like mortality and stuff, they creep up real hard. It's like, I get why young people don't want to deal with it. And like hair's growing on my ears and my nose and fucking like I'm going to the doctor all the time, and like I'm on medication now. I have 3 medications.
The saddest thing I think is the dentist, because it's just fight against like death.
It is.
That you're not gonna win.
You just don't like you there's no avoiding that. It like, dude, I just had an incident like 2 months ago where I had a filling that I got done in San Diego 4 years ago, and it was a temp filling in my wisdom tooth. And I just ignored it. I was like, that filling's gonna last forever, whatever. No, as soon as that feeling fucking fell out, it was just raw nerve exposed, and it was just like a week. And of course, it happens in the time of Corona. So doctors aren't answering phones anymore. Like it's all answering machines and shit. I literally had to go down to the dentist's office just to make an appointment because no one was calling me back. And so it was just a week of me eating on one side.
Oh, that sounds awful.
Oh, it was terrible. It was awful. But, like on the last day, I found out there's this like temporary filling shit you can buy for like $3. Fucking changed my life for a day.
I just moved to Maryland about 6-7 months ago with my wife. This is where she grew up, from San Diego. And I went to the dentist. And I was like, I'd been avoiding it. I'd been, dreading it because I had gotten my wisdom teeth removed and all this shit. I didn't go back to the dentist for like 2 years after that.
It's scary. It's a horrible experience.
I was like, and then I came back and I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. I go in. She's like, you need a cleaning, like no cavities. I was just like, what?
Wow.
Pretty much like what my wife and I, because my wife had the same experience, like we're realizing we got hosed in San Diego and we were on the take, or our dentist was on the take. Like every time it was like a couple cavities, this thing, that thing, the other thing. And I come to this dentist, like, I don't think so.
Oh, dude, I can't stand fucking, like, hey, what's up, Dex? Thanks for being here, man. It's good to see you. Thanks for the tongue sticking out at me. I deserve it. I deserve it. The doctors, man, like the fact that like we give doctors the say all be all, the end all be all, and like to question doctors is sort of like did you go to fucking doctor school? Or would you look it up on fucking Google? Is like these are just human beings, who have greed, who have disdain.
I was like, well, that's what the dentist told me what to do. I didn't question it at all.
Of course. Why would you?
Now I'm looking back. He's like, he had that nice little convertible sports car. He's like, you're like 60-year-old mustache, like calling his secretary Toots. This guy had a life. He was kind of like if the Anchorman, Ron Burgundy was a dentist, kind of, and like a few, another couple decades older.
You had to keep that lifestyle moving, man. Hey, that rent's not gonna pay itself. That Southern California rent.
He probably had a nice pad. He probably had by the looks of it, a couple ex-wives.
Yeah, bro. He had all the ex-wives, and they're all on the take too.
He'd ask me the same questions again. I tell him I'm a musician. He'd be like, "Do you know John Mayer?" I'm like, not a musician. It's just like my nightmare.
Which you do, like you have met him before, right? Like you have actually.
I've never met John Mayer, but we opened a whole tour for him in Australia.
Oh, cool.
Great musicians in his band. I mean, he is a good musician. There's something about that guy I just cannot swallow. That voice just crushes me. His whole being kind of just bothers me. I don't know.
I personally love John Mayer. I at first I hated John Mayer. I just thought it was stupid, like Leon, whatever he's saying. But then I grew to love him. Like Continuum came out, and I was like, well, there's no denying that he's on the pulse of something here. But like I always used to think that John Mayer's voice was just a cheap ripoff of Dave Matthews, kind of. And like it just sort of
feel like he's like whispering in my ear while he date rapes me. Is kind of how.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That too.
If I had to put him under a genre, it would be subtle date rape.
Oh, wow.
Wow, I really went there. Oops. I try not to do that.
I don't care. This is the internet, baby. We're doing whatever we want. No, it's just that I don't know, man. Like John Mayer is cool, but I kind of see where you're saying, like he kind of has like, because like I think the last time you were on the show, you said that he was an asshole or something, and that's what led me to believe that you've met him.
I'll crash on him before too. I gotta stop.
I just go on podcasts and randomly shit on John Mayer. It's all good.
Yeah. I just don't get the love. I don't get the the Grateful Dead connection.
That was weird for me too, man. Like I didn't get that either. And like it's just
It's just like
it's never hit my ear right. It's never hit my ear right with John Mayer. No, and again, I'm a huge John Mayer fan, but like I didn't get the connection either, and I didn't care for it. And fucking whatever Bobby is doing with his guitar tone and that Fender he's playing, it's fucking god awful. It's fucking god. It sounds like glass being fucking raked across the strings all the time. I don't know what the deal is with that, but it's fucking not my business. I mean,
Bobby is Bobby, man. He's like, it can be pretty gnarly until he finds his groove.
It might take a whole fucking tour to get there, but you'll find it.
There is something there, like does something that nobody else does. But yeah, it's definitely there's some stumbles along the way.
Well, it just seems like that band was built on being able to like do that whole thing while like high on drugs or in any state of mind. You know what I mean? Like, because like at any time one person could just drop out and you wouldn't even be able to tell. This is like.
I love the idea of the Grateful Dead. I like, I'm this weird person where it's like I like the Grateful Dead, but I also am so far removed from the camp of like obsessives.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
gotta listen to other music too.
for sure. It's like the people who are like, oh yeah, that's fucking that's out of the vault, that's 73, fucking Europe 73, right? That's fucking Berlin 73 right there.
I don't even mind that as long as like there's an openness to new and other. It's the ones that like literally like that's it.
Yeah, they're at the Church of the Dead forever. Yeah,
that's the kind of the antithesis of like what the Dead is too. It's like their whole thing was like looking forward, not looking back, further, be on the bus, like be in the moment. The whole concept of and the philosophy of their music is to be in the moment, and like rehashing and like going to see tribute bands that recreate a fucking show from like 1979 is the opposite of being in the moment.
Oh man. Yeah, you're right. That it doesn't make sense at all. But they're, you gotta love the Deadheads. You gotta love them. I mean, there are some annoying ass hippies out there, but
Oh man, I'm a hippie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it's like I'm in there, and we got to play with Bobby once. I'm all good with the Dead, but I do like to like. It's one of those things that like Radiohead. No one ever questions Radiohead or like gives them a hard time, maybe those weren't the best lyrics, that song, like maybe I don't know what any of the songs are about for the last 7 I don't know, but no one will do that. And it's like similarly, like if you're in the Dead world, kind of like it's like you're not allowed to like question anything, like everyone's that's just not I can't do that. Like I'm a huge Neil Young fan and Bob Dylan fan, but I love to shit on Bob Dylan and Neil Young, like where they went wrong. There's some terrible songs, terrible shows, but like let's celebrate it all and let's just call it like as we see it and let that be okay, rather than to like revere everything.
I hate Bob Dylan's voice, what it's become. I just hate it. I fucking hate it.
Horrible. This festival one time in Minnesota somewhere. It's actually where he was from. I forget what it was called. It was a big 10,000 Lakes or something big, and he was playing like as like day turned to night, and we all had taken some mushrooms, and it just comes on, and he was not having a good show, and it was just kind of like. Went from this thing where like he just started to turn into like a reptile on stage, like shooting laser negative vibes into the audience. And I was just like, I gotta get away from this. Bob Dylan reptile is just destroying people.
fucking ruining everyone's vibe all night.
I love it. That was when he started when he stopped playing guitar and was just like playing keyboards. And it's just like. Basically it was like 3 minutes of each song of the band trying to figure out what song they're playing.
Oh my God.
That's classic Dylan though. He does that. It's like all of a sudden he's doing like, Times They Are a Changing in as a bossa nova, it's like B flat. Like he's notorious for that, you know.
Just starting a song, playing it in a weird way, and just
Love to do it differently, you know,
and
every night.
meanwhile the band's like, huh? It's like,
Can be the beauty in it, you know, when everything happens right, but it can also just be like a bad show.
yeah, well, yeah, that's what sucks is that it's like, well, I guess fucking we're doing this now. We're gonna sound like shit at this 10,000 Lakes Festival. But hey, you know, it's Bob Dylan. He can sound like shit.
Exactly. That was fun. That was my first concert, actually, was Bob Dylan. I saw him. My brother took me when I was like 17, I think, still.
Wow, that's cool.
Vermont. That one was a pretty good concert from what I recall. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, earth shattering or anything, but he was not reptilian that night.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Mine was Tool. Mine was Tool at the sports arena, and I didn't realize that you're supposed to drink water before you go into the pit. And and about like 15 minutes into the show, I'm like about to pass out from dehydration. So that was fun. I had a really good time watching Tool from the side, trying not to die of dehydration.
That's a cool show. How old were you?
I was probably like 16. I just got my license and shit. So my actual first concert though was actually, it's very funny. It was actually Tex Beneke. Do you know who Tex Beneke is? He's the saxophone player for the Glenn Miller Orchestra. Do you know who Glenn Miller is?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, not everyone does, yeah.
right. Well, Glenn Miller, he was the saxophone. He was the lead saxophonist, and he was the MD of the band, I believe, for a long time. And he was like 80 something, and he just fucking, his voice sounded like he's been gargling with gravel for like the last 40 years. And he's just like, this next song, it's called Stomping at the Savoy. Swing it. Here we go. It's so it was good. It was good though. I was really I was 9 and I was so thrilled. I was so me and my dad. I mean, my dad loved big band, so I loved my dad and big band. So I was like so excited to see Tex Beneke. I was like, oh, wow, he was in that movie I watched. So
yeah. I saw BB King at my brother's college.
There you go.
Kind of really before I knew. It was just when I barely started. Started playing guitar when I was like 18. So it was
wow.
Kind of knew. I knew who BB King was, but I just didn't. You know, I wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
Really, even with the blues or anything. And honestly, I was like, for the first half of the show, I was like, this is fucking boring. And then like, I was like, which guy is BB? And they're like, he hasn't even come out yet.
Yeah, because he has like this huge intro.
So it's just like some guy in a suit playing like chords that I was like, well, that's BB King. Like he's not doing shit.
Was he still standing at that point, or was he sitting down?
He came out. And it was like everyone had like a tux on, but then he had like a different tux on, you know, and then came down and sat down on the, you know, aluminum fold-out chair. You know.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
It was cool, but yeah, I just like. I like BB. I like that earlier shit. Yeah, we still stand in. It's a little more raw. This was like a friggin' Vegas show.
Right. Yeah, I love it. I love that he had like, because I saw BB King too, and I saw that whole thing where it's like a 20-minute intro just waiting for BB King to come out on stage, and you're just like, where is he? But like I remember because I was well into guitar when I went and saw him. And I remember, like, after seeing BB King, I remember, like, being able to go home that night and, like, be able to play the blues. Now, I'm not claiming that I can play the blues, but at that moment, there was this, like, threshold, this membrane that was sort of in the way of, like, sort of understanding and sort of hearing where these notes and these bends are supposed to go. And then after seeing BB King, it was like that membrane was sort of broken through. And I sort of was able to start like hearing and start moving between like the minor and major scales within the pentatonic blues scale and stuff. So it was like a really huge moment just by seeing him. And like it was just like osmosis or something. He just like he put the blues into me. It was very weird, but it was awesome.
I mean, that's the best shit. I mean, my favorite shows I've ever seen or artists usually is like they make it seem easy, and they make me want to go home and do what they do. You know, like that's usually the stuff that I'm most connected to.
Yeah, for sure, man. The shit that motivates you to want to be better.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah, man. I was looking through your website and I saw you have some pictures of you playing with like Billy Gibbons and shit. And how
Yeah,
did
with him.
how did you how did that occur?
That was crazy. There's this company in Vermont called dealer.com, which is like where people buy, you know, cars online, and they were like one of the earlier ones to do it. So I think they just like, they're based in Burlington, Vermont, and they just like blew up and they're making a ton of money very quickly. And at that time, you know, our band was one of the, you know, besides Fish, probably the second biggest band in Vermont. And so they put on two like big parties. One was in Vermont, and then the other one was out in Vegas. And I think they just had all this money to blow for tax purposes or whatever. They had a lot of money to spend.
Nice.
So they paid us good and put us up in this sweet, you know, casino, and it was just this raging party. And so they hired us as the band. They hired Billy Gibbons just to like come and like jam 5 songs with us, and he was down. Yeah, I don't even know what they paid him, but you know, it was like, you know, here, just $30,000 to like just come play blues for 5 songs with this young band. It's like, okay, man, you know. He was a sweetheart. Couldn't be nicer. He came to sound check. We worked it out, and we did all non-ZZ Top songs. Like that was the thing, you know. So we played Allman Brothers songs and some like other like kind of just blues staple stuff. Wow. And then they also hired the most interesting man in the world from the
Dos Equis.
They just hired him to like sit at a table and like be at the party.
Was he in blackface? Because like, you know, they painted him and tanned him for that, right? Because that's
I didn't see him.
That's a white dude. That's definitely a white dude who's doing like.
I didn't realize that.
I think he's been canceled already. No, I don't know.
But at the time, he was hot, man.
Right, he was number one, bro. Like, I want to drink Dos Equis because of that guy. It's like shit.
Like 2012, I think. Right. You know, 2013, 2012. It was sweet. That was awesome, man.
It was sweet.
No, not him, but it was sweet to Billy and like, you know, just chill with him. Like I said, he was super nice. He told us, the thing I learned from him is that he even borrowed one of, like, the dude didn't even fly in with a guitar. I mean, he just
shut up. He's just like, I just show up.
Like, do you guys have a guitar I can play, but I want to, can your tech string it with my strings? And I like, because he plays 8-gauge, like super duper, super light strings.
Wow.
And he told us that BB King taught him that, like showed him. He was like, all these dudes out here, like Stevie Ray Vaughan clones playing like 12-gauge strings. Like, you know, they're suffering for no reason.
Don't have to do that for yourself, man. You don't have to do that to your fingers, bro.
11s at the time. I, you know, played pretty heavy strings. So I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. So I've been kind of like over every like decade, I'm coming down a gauge.
Where you at now?
At 10s.
Yeah, me too. That's what Valo said. He said I played 10s. Yeah, I'm a 10 guy. I've been that for a long, long time.
I was 11s for like 20 years, man.
Wow. Man, that's thick, baby. That's thicky right there.
Yeah.
I
was an Albert King fan, and like, you know, Albert King's the guy who Stevie Ray Vaughan got his whole sound from, or not his whole sound, but a lot of his tone from, that real thick thing. So
yeah, man. Fucking what is that experience like when were you like super nervous to meet him? Were you like shy and bashful about your playing for Billy Gibbons, or
I would say a little bit. I mean, that kind of situation, same thing like when I would sit in with Warren Haynes or whatever, you know, they're your elders in a way, you know what I mean? They're like, those guys are like, you know, practically my dad's age, you know? And so I think there's definitely, you know, and then I look up to them. I've grown up listening to their playing. So, you know, you kind of want to come in, you know, with respect, but then at a certain point, it's like, they also want you to like it, you know, there's a time to step up and, you know, do your thing too. But you kind of just have to, you know, be intelligent about like when that time is, you know, and how you handle that.
Yeah.
There's a subtlety there. And they kind of, Billy was just like, he's like, dig a solo, man.
Yeah, he's clearly there for the buddy. He didn't even show up with a guitar.
He wasn't like that though. He didn't give up the vibe. He really was super nice and cool. Like, you know.
Well, I mean, he was a professional, right? I mean, shit. He walked in there and did his job. Yeah.
hip dude, man.
Yeah. How did you end up playing with Warren Haynes?
Oh, we toured with them forever with
Oh,
Government Mule. Pretty early on. I think our first bus tour, we had our own tour bus and that whole thing. We went on tour with them for like 2.5, 3 months straight over a whole summer. So, I mean, you go on tour with a band and you just get to know them. That's just, except for John Mayer.
What did he just hide away in his bus the whole time?
What up, man? John Mayer, and then the only Rich Robinson and the Black Crowes. I don't know if he was shy or angry or what. We toured with them for like a month and a half, and that dude never said a peep to anybody.
Wow.
Not one time.
Wow, that's weird. I mean, isn't that weird? I mean, like, I've never been on a tour with a huge band or anything, but like, I've been on. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know. I thought at the time he was just a dick, but I think since then I've heard that he's just like super shy. Like he's sober and kind of always has been, which I found super intriguing.
Yeah.
Of like being in the Black Crowes for all those years, like, and not drinking beer in like the 90s,
Dude, I just oh no, not the Black Crowes. I was thinking no, I just heard I just watched the podcast with the Adam dude from the Counting Crows, and I was like, that's a totally different band. But
yeah, I know them though.
Do you know the Counting?
No, I don't know them. We opened for them once at like a radio show, and so we played, but we never met. Not just because like it was one of those things where we took a van in, play the show, jump in the van, get out of there, kind of a thing.
Right, you got to keep it moving. You guys, were pretty hot. I'm talking about the Nocturnals. You guys were pretty hot at a time when the music industry was like still. I mean, they're still reeling and trying to figure out how to do the money, even though like the labels have sort of weaseled their way back into making money again. But like, you guys came up at a time when fucking album sales weren't. CDs weren't selling and stuff. How did that affect the way you guys grew? And how were you guys sort of dealing with that idea that, touring is where your money's going to be and not the music? Or was the music providing money? Maybe I have it all wrong.
We kind of had like a parallel, like a very juxtaposed experience in that like the first so many years we were super rootsy DIY, just like hit the road, 200 shows a year, like totally indie, thing, like not really that's just the way we did it. And and we had some offers kind of along the way and it just didn't feel right then. Or like a lot of the labels came in and wanted us to do, like, they really wanted to change us, and they were smaller labels too. Like a lot of like, indie labels came in hot with like, you should do this, and then you need to re-record these 2 songs, and we, shouldn't go in this direction, you should go in that direction. It was like, whoa, like we kind of have ideas about what we'd like to do. Not that. So we're gonna keep going because things were getting better, and we, you could kind of feel that there was going to be opportunity like that. It didn't feel like that was going to be the only opportunity, and so we just did that for a few years, and then like I said, we talked to a ton of different labels, really to feel it out, and then the label that offered us the most money kind of also seemed like they were offering us the most autonomy, and that's who we signed with, which was Hollywood Records, which is like all the way in the direction of like a major record label,
right?
Heart of the beast. And so then we did that, and so we actually got like one of the last like old school contracts.
Oh wow.
Like, here's $300,000 to like go make your record, and here's $200,000 to make like a video, and I mean all that we owed back.
Right. You have to pay that all back. Yeah, and just
which we didn't. I mean, we kind of knew, but I didn't really fully grasp. Like, oh, like this is sweet. We can go to this crazy studio. We have the producer and this like big name engineer, and go to this place and rent any guitar and any amp and all this gear you want. And every morning you got fresh squeezed orange juice, and like it's just like,
this is the life.
And. But yeah, it's funny though. It's like right when that happened was kind of when the fun kind of started going away too a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I feel like we just had this really interesting, like, I feel like I've really experienced both sides of the music industry.
Yeah. And were you guys able to recoup that money? Because for anyone that doesn't know, if you get a record label and they give you an advance, is what he's talking about, to make your record and to do a video, all that money has to be paid back out of the profits from the band. And it's not even like, and it's not even until they recoup the money. It's until your percentage pays off. The percentage that you get off each record, until the percentage pays off that debt. Now, do I have that right? Is that how your label had it set up?
Pretty much it, yeah. So it's like they like to, especially with that company too, because it was like they were trying to break us. Like, the other artists they had were the freaking Jonas Brothers, and that was where a lot of their money came in, was like those like Disney artists. But there was also legit artists on, like Queen was on Hollywood Records, and like some the Indigo Girls, like there was some different, they had like I think they were like kind of embarrassed, like they want to be taken seriously as like a record label, and like, but they were just crushing it with like Hannah Montana killing it. It was like the stuff that was by far making the most money,
right.
But they also wanted to be like respected. So we were kind of this like, this band is, has like some value, or some, Queen and the Indigo Girls and some other shit like that. So it's just kind of a funny label to be on in that way.
Yeah, I would say so.
I'm coming from like Vermont too, where we were like, so, Vermont's just different. It's very DIY. If you're a multimillionaire in Vermont, it's like you like the biggest car you roll up in is like an Audi, but like not even a tricked out one. Like it's like,
base model
like,
Audi.
Yeah, everyone, like no one's too showy in Vermont. It's very like humble in a way. People are of means, but humble means in this funny way. See, then all of a sudden we're in the middle of Hollywood with like stylists and like, like fans blowing in your hair, and like, we had a horse galloping in our video.
It's like, how much is that costing?
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at this, like recoupment, and I'm like, God damn, we have to rent the horse like that. And all our friends too. I remember, like, we came back to our hometown club, Higher Ground. We do like a run of shows. You hear like fucking horse.
Damn,
it's hilarious. I love
it. Did you guys did you experience like I don't want like, I'm not trying to cause drama or anything, but did you experience any kind of like bitterness from friends who are contemporaries and stuff once you guys started? Yeah,
totally. I mean, if you listen to any comedy podcasts, like I listen to the Mark Maron podcast a lot. That's one of my favorite ones. He just talks about, they always get back to that topic of like when people started getting TV deals, like how all the other comics would be like, what the fuck?
Yes.
I think there's definitely a rivalry in the music world.
Yeah, definitely.
Of that kind of a thing. I think it's like, and I've felt it, I've been jealous of other, someone starts just crushing it. I'm like, God damn it.
Well, just as good.
Matter of like how you handle that. I think that there's an initial emotional reaction that comes over us as people sometimes. And then it's just like, how far do you take that? You got to kind of like get up on your shit.
Yeah.
Be like, I need to not get obsessed with that, or like I need to focus on myself. Yeah. And so I think, we felt some of that. Yeah, we definitely felt some of that. And some people didn't get a handle on that, but I've also, I had some friends who we kind of went through a rough patch because I felt some of that, and then it came back around, and it's,
yeah,
it all balanced itself out.
That's good. I mean, time.
We might have come back cocky too, because I think on the other side of it, it's like, we're fucking crushing it. We were just on a night show last night, just sat in with the Allman Brothers,
Yeah, of course.
Beer.
Yeah,
so I think there was definitely a couple of years where we kind of had to like figure out how to how to balance, get on top of your ego.
Yeah, and what I hear from people who've gone through this is like there's just like almost no matter what, the first couple years is you're gonna be an asshole. It's just like it's just how it is. It's like you just got too much money, too many people know your name, too many things happening, too many things in place. Like I feel like after a while, I mean, like you were saying, you just thought John Mayer was a dick, but I guess he's shy. But I mean, like a lot of that is just their protective barrier. And I can see how people who've been in those positions, those positions of power or fame and stuff, it is, you sort of have to build this exterior because people are constantly trying to take from you. People are constantly asking you for something, and so it's you kind of have to put up these barriers. And I've never been in that position, so I don't know what kind of person. I mean, I've seen myself get kind of shitty once I got a little bit of. It was just people cheering for me. It wasn't like my band was was doing good. It was just people were like, "Go, Mike!" And I was like, afterwards, I'm walking around like, "Get out of my way!" Like what a piece of shit. Such a piece of shit. I was drunk, a piece of shit. That's all right though. We learned. So. What do you think about it? About when you guys started finding success, that sort of turned it into not so fun anymore, and I mean I'm guessing this is probably when everyone's starting to want their piece and stuff, like they want their piece of the pie, and I'm assuming everything here, but it's just this is the normal thing. When I talk to all these people, it's always like. Yeah, and then the money came, and that's when I hated them. And that's and now I hate them. So
I got a jet for 1 second.
Sure, no worries. He's just avoiding the question, is what he's doing. No, I'm just kidding. No, Scott. Last time Scott was on, if you guys missed it, Scott wasn't really talking about. Oh, Tammy, thank you so much for the host. I appreciate it. Scott wasn't really talking about this stuff with me last time he was on the show, so I'm really interested in sort of his experience because we don't always get a chance to talk to people who've been on that side. Like Scott is on Letterman, and like he just said, he's playing with Billy Gibbons, and he's touring around, and people. It's a rare glimpse into what it's like on the other side, because like as a musician who I guess my goal has been to get on that side of things, and now my goal is completely different, but at one point my goal was to get to that point, and so it's really interesting to see how it all goes down. I was waiting for a break. I'm loving this. I actually have been thinking about the concept of competition in art. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a competitive game. There's only so many spots, right? There can only be so many John Mayers. There can only be so many Scott Tournets,
But for me, where it's the question you're asking, it didn't stop being fun, but like when there started being things that interfered with the fun, for me was definitely having a producer. The first producer, I had another experience where I loved having a producer. So, the first producer we had, good dude, but and in fairness, he was tasked with it was his first big production gig, and he, was tasked with trying to have us be on the pop charts, and meanwhile, really our personality was out in clubs, fucking raging and drinking whiskey and playing, smashing the cymbals with the guitar head stuff. We were really kind of entering a phase of being a rock and roll kind of loose on the edge, band that really was not perfect. Our drummer, sped up and slowed down the tempo a little bit, he was a good, he wasn't a school drummer, so he was pretty raw. He had a lot of personality, and he was kind of like Ringo in that he was great at kind of arranging a song and working with his limitations, playing just the hi-hat through the verse and saving the first snare hit for the chorus or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which a lot of great drummers that I've played with have no sense of, and so he was trying to really kind of perfect us and tame us, and it was just a painful process of making an album for 2.5 months of just being told do this, or one song I had to like play the G chord, stop, tune, play the D chord, stop, tune, play the A minor 7, stop, tune, and like go through the whole fucking chorus like that. It just felt shitty.
Yeah, that does. I mean, I couldn't imagine working like that. That's awful.
Yeah, it really took the fun out of it, and just I just didn't like. I had a lot of opinions about how I wanted the music to go. I don't do well with authority. So I was just like, this sucks. Like, our last record we did was great. And we recorded it in a barn in Vermont for 20 grand, and like, people love it. It got us here. Like, so why are we like completely like reinventing the wheel? And I could just feel that, like, the push towards like stuff that I didn't find as exciting, like some of like, how you feeling? Some of the
yeah.
formulas. It's like, this is an easy formula. If you sing a song about this and do it in this way, it's more likely to have more people pay money for it. And I could feel that. And that's just never the way that I've wanted to make music or art. It's like, I want it to succeed at that level, but I want it, like, I look at a band like, Pink Floyd, for lack of maybe a better example of like, one of the greatest selling albums of all time, but it's like Dark Side of the Moon. It's like that album was not specifically going out trying to be that,
Right.
It's like, I always wanted to make an album on my own terms. And then if it gets to that place, then that's great. But like, in a way, or like Bob Dylan, like a Rolling Stone, like the first single to be over 5 minutes, like, that's my shit,
Yeah.
not like, oh, everyone on the radio now, goes like that. So it's like, that's what we're going to do. It's like, no, like, that's how you follow it. Like, how do you get ahead of it?
Right.
That's what interests me.
Right.
What's the next beat that everyone's going to do?
Exactly. Like, how do you transcend if you're just following what's already in there?
And that's a losing path. Because if, like, I mean, one of my favorite things to do before I had a child was read books. And it was like, I read so many music biographies, and all the special souls, all the Ray Charles and all the, Led Zeppelins and Groundbreakers, like, did what they thought, or like did what they thought was great, and hadn't been done before. And it just happens over and over again. But you get into a major label and there's a lot of money involved and a lot of opinions, and people get scared. And when people get scared, they play it safe. And it's the same thing with, TV shows. And, you go watch a TV show on HBO with the laugh track and like and then you go watch one on HBO that's like breaks more rules and is edgier, and it's just so much better, in my opinion. That's what I like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this cookie cutter thing that appeals to the greatest common denominator is just like there's merit to it, right? Like, you got to give props that you're able to captivate like a whole group of people that they're all into it, but like, what are you feeding them? It's like, are you feeding them McDonald's, or are you feeding them fucking Whole Foods? I don't know. Like, Whole Foods is garbage, but I'm just saying there's it's just, what are we?
There's a way for the pop charts and great music and art to coexist, and it has, and it still does from time to time.
Definitely.
So that's just what I'm interested in. That's just like, but dumbing it down for the sake of trying to sell records, people can see through that. Like, I think people can feel that. And I've just never been interested in it. So I guess, long-winded, to answer your question, for me, that's when the trouble started with that path, so that record was not fun. And then we made a record with T-Bone Burnett, and that wasn't awesome either, actually.
What? T-Bone's amazing.
He fired the band, he brought in his own studio guys, and like Mark Ribot played all my guitar parts, and like messed up, like, or like turned around the main riff to the song Medicine. The song Medicine, I wrote that riff, and the way Mark Ribot played it was like, and he's amazing. Like, I think he was kind of instructed to, I think, just be loose or play it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Reinvent it. So I would never say anything negative about him. He's an incredible guitar player and musician. which is crazy too, because he's like this crazy art jazz free, player, but then he's like playing on T-Bone sessions, like doing like straight,
Yeah.
like soul licks, which I thought was funny, but kind of actually a testament to his playing. But anyways, but then I ended up overdubbing a bunch of parts on that record. So then that record actually didn't come out. That got swallowed up.
Oh.
The cool thing, say what you will about our major record label, was that the label head, this guy Bob Cavallo, who was a big time player, saw our Bonnaroo performance and then listened to that record and was like, I want the Bonnaroo performance. Like he's like, this kind of, it's a cool record. It just kind of was something different. You know what I mean? It was like a Norah Jones record.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, it would have been on the counter at Starbucks,
Right.
kind of a record.
Yeah, it wasn't rock and roll. It wasn't fucking whiskey and fucking clubs. Yeah, it was fucking.
At this point, he's like in his 60s, and he might like to have a Vicodin from time to time. He's a pretty mellow fellow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I just imagine what a T-Bone Burnett produced, Nocturnals album. It's just sparse and fucking.
Well, Nocturnals album, so there you go.
There you go.
So, I mean, with his thing, it was cool, but it sounded like the Alison Krauss and Robert. It was like he didn't adapt his sound at all.
He wasn't even trying.
And that's cool though. Some producers do that,
right?
Like some producers, they don't leave a big sonic stamp on the artist. They let the artist kind of be them, and they kind of like help them get better. Whereas other producers come in and they've got that like Mutt Lange specific kind of like thing that maybe people are looking for. So it just didn't match up at the right time and in the right way.
Yeah.
Still interesting. I mean, I love him too, and like love a lot of the stuff that he's been a part of.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I mean, it was cool to like go to like his home studio and do overdubs and
I mean, shit.
Recorded it. I think he had the desk, the mixing console that they used for like Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh, that's
other shit, which is pretty sweet.
That's so awesome. I'm rock hard right now, Scott.
It sounded great. His engineer was really cool too. Nice guy. His name's Mikey, and he turned me on to one of these pedals. I'll hear that.
Down. Gear time.
This thing. He had like the whole mix running through two of these. Have you seen these?
No.
Like the Kettner Replex. It's like a delay. There's a tube in it, and there's also a reverb. And he just like at one point I think ran the entire mix through like a stereo pair of these. And just fattened it up, and they're cool. You can get them. I got this used in San Diego from some sketchy dude on Craigslist for like $200 or $150.
Nice. And that's they were just running it through just fatten the sound.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's amazing. It's always so incredible when I hear these big time producers and engineers where they're just fuck it, we're just running these through pedals now. Like that's
I love that shit.
Me too. That's
Richard Swift. Do you ever hear of him?
Mm-mm.
He was like a amazing musician, mixed a lot, produced a lot. He produced like that's that guy's name. I'll think of his name in a second. I'm spacing on it. But he also played bass in the Black Keys for a while. He played in the keyboards in the Shins.
Okay.
But everyone really, really liked his production. His whole thing was he would take the entire mix and mix it down to a 4-track tape recorder and print the mix and send in the cassette tape to the mastering engineer. I love that shit.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. Holy shit. And that's just, and that's his sound, right? Like that's just his sound, and people pay him well for that. And it's beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
Mostly a producer, like
yeah, that's insane. So like I want to talk about the new album, but I kind of want to wrap up your Nocturnals.
That's all good. Well, I did want to follow up by saying like the next album we did, we worked with this producer, this guy Mark Batson, who everyone kind of like thought was going to be exactly what I just explained of like sterile, not understanding rock and roll at all kind of thing. He was coming from like he was like Dr. Dre's like keyboard player, and he had produced like a Dave Matthews Band album.
Yeah,
He's kind of all
Beyonce.
over the place, but he's kind of more of a hip hop guy, and he completely understood the rock and roll energy and had the whole band play, and there's drinks in the studio and like a party in the studio and
Yes.
like girls in the studio. It was like turned into a Motley Crue record, and it was a blast, like, because he understood that we were a band that toured and that, we're like brothers and sisters at that point, had been seeing more of each other than our families, and we just existed together, and he got that, like he captured that,
Yeah.
And there were overdubs and there were fixes and there was shit, but like the essence of the track was like fun and excitement and us doing kind of what we do and interacting and stuff.
Do you
And
think
it was a blast, and we did it in like a month or 3 weeks.
Wow.
You know,
Was that do you think that was your best album that you guys have put out? Is that your favorite?
I mean that was that was the most fun
Yeah.
making it, for sure. I mean, it was our most successful album. I think it was our self-titled album.
Okay.
It had like our biggest songs off of it. I kind of like that one, and then I like the first one we did like in a barn together too, because that had a lot of like purity,
Right.
kind of just the beginning before things kind of got bigger or whatever. I think those, I'm kind of tied between those.
Yeah, I can see that. I could definitely see that. And was that last album? Was that the last Nocturnals album as well?
We did. I mean, we kind of did two more after
wow.
that. We did the Lion, the Beast, the Beat, which is I like that album too. That one's cool. And we worked with a guy, Jim Scott, who was for a long time he was Rick Rubin's engineer.
Oh, cool.
And he just kind of had gone off towards producing as well. And he just had the most insane collection of gear I've ever seen in my life. It was like literally a warehouse full of like arcade games and drum sets and like keyboards. It was like
snare drums.
so much fun. He had like a cool thing because he was a drummer and he had this huge warehouse space that he always had like 7 drum sets set up at all times. So like at the end of a session or the beginning or whatever, like all of us would get on a drum set. There'd be like 6 people on drum sets just like jamming together.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Drum off, motherfucker. So then, like, so what was the thing that sort of ended everything? Why did Grace decide to go off and be a solo act, and why did you? Because you started a solo act as well, right? Like you went off and did your own thing as well after.
Yeah. I mean, I'd been kind of making my own solo records, and then I had a side band called Blues and Lasers for a while. I kind of always had my own thing because I was only writing like a couple songs a record. There was only, and for me it's just the way the cookie crumbled. But like I just liked to write more, and I wrote a lot more than that. So it wasn't, especially when the album cycles get to be like 3 years apart.
Yeah,
I don't love. That's another part of the kind of the bigger world that I don't love as much. I'd rather do an album every year or two, because to me that's kind of the most fun is coming up with the album, recording it. That's like where the majority of the excitement lies for me. I would say even more so than performing live.
Yeah, me too, man. I prefer, but I don't like. Please.
No, we just so I think I just wanted to write more, and that was kind of clear for a long time. And then just towards the end, there was just more and more of a push for us to be on the radio and succeed at a larger and larger scale. And I kind of didn't see it that way. I just kind of, in my mind, we had played football stadiums, opening for huge country acts, and I had seen what that is. And, I think that's everyone's aspiration on some level. And then I was kind of like, what, that's not my aspiration.
Oh.
Like, I don't want to be here. Like, I don't really, like, when the Rolling Stones started playing football stadiums, I think it got worse. Like, I think you go watch the shit from the early 70s when they're playing, 5,000-6,000 people or 8 or whatever, and there's not like catwalks and a bunch of production fire breathing dragons.
Yeah.
I don't
Right.
like that. I don't. That just doesn't appeal to me as much personally. I'm not. And so like and we were playing at the time, beautiful theaters, 2,000-3,000 seats, 4,000, we were kind of like in between, 800 and 6,000 people a night,
Wow.
on tour.
Mm.
And to me, that is the sweet spot. It's like you've got a tour bus for the band, a tour bus for the crew. You're playing to a ton of people, but like you can also take it down, and there can be subtlety and nuance, and you can you just have more control over everything at that point. You get to that point of 30,000 people, and it's like, tractor trailer trucks and production, and like, it just doesn't interest me as much.
I feel you, man. And like that, the idea of nuance, because that's one of the things that I really love about streaming is that you can put your fucking you can use your really nice condenser mic. You can like set up, you can be in a soundproof room, and you can project and stream fucking high quality studio sounding live performances. And when you try to take that to a bar scene, that's non-existent. Like you're getting talked over, the game's on, people are like the whole fucking, it's just, there's no nuance. It all gets lost and it all gets absorbed into people's bodies. So when I think about something on the level of a stadium where it's just 30,000 people, like it's just never ends, it's deafening screams. And like, what nuance are you I never even thought about that though. I've never.
It's like, the energy of that is
Right.
intoxicating.
Sure.
The first few times experiencing that, I mean, granted, we were opening and we're like the one non-country act on that tour, so we weren't getting
Yeah.
or I'm like, what in the hell is this?
It's not what I paid for.
Yeah, like there was an element there that was feeling that. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people digging it too, but yeah, I don't know. Like, so that can be, that's awesome. Like that, the sound of a big crowd is cool, but yeah, just you have to paint in broad strokes. There's a reason why Mick Jagger moves the way he does, and there's catwalks and cannons and set changes, and but it's a lot of like, hey, I'm over here, like kind of things where like when we were starting out, the antithesis, the other side of that was like playing like, we were kind of doing like the singer-songwriter coffee circuit of like, 30 to like 60 to 80 people rooms, but like full rooms because they were designed to be small, and like almost nothing's amplified, or I have like my Blues Junior amp turned around towards the wall on like 2.5 kind of a thing, and that was exciting to me. Like that was because it was like everyone there like loved music and was there for the the subtleties and the songwriting, and I don't know, that speaks to me more.
So was that your favorite part then, you think, of the like the Nocturnals career path? Like, was your favorite part?
I mean, we had it's 13 years, so I mean, there's different like phases,
of course,
that were exciting. It was like that was exciting, but then it also was exciting. Headlining small theaters in Vermont for the first time was incredibly exciting. Playing our first New Year's Eve show in Vermont, selling out Higher Ground, like our hometown, club, like that's fucking exciting. That was like our belly up, essentially. And then I remember our first album release show, our manager at the time, who I'm still friends with, it was like, it's never going to get any better than this, guys. Enjoy it. I was like, oh man, why are you so pessimistic, man?
Wait, it's not going to get better?
What?
This is it?
I didn't get it, I'm looking back at it, like, and it did. I mean, there was like other things and different things that were pretty awesome, but like, I get what he was saying. Like that first ascent, that first, it's like the first, jump into the pool.
Yeah.
So, it just, you can't kind of do it again.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, that is like that first hit of crack. It's like, you're never going to get there again. You're never going to get there again. Yeah, man. So yeah, that's, I respect that, man. I respect someone who looks at it and sees their future and is like, I don't want it. I'm gonna walk away from that because that's just I'm not interested.
Open for cover bands.
Just to open for cover bands who are playing your songs. I mean, like, so was that? So then I don't know. Like, was that? Do you ever have regrets about that decision?
No,
That's
I don't.
great. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
I mean, money is always stressful. Like that's just the life
Yeah.
of a musician. So that I regret the money sometimes, but I don't. I wouldn't be happy. I know that. I just know that because I'm so happy doing my own music. That's just where it's always been where I'm at, and it kind of was something that like I felt the whole way with the Nocturnals.
Wow.
It was like because at the same time I joined them, they asked me to. I mean, we weren't even a band. It was the drummer and Grace. Like we want to go out on tour this summer, and I had also just done my first solo album, but like to no one, it's like that I made it home, but it was there. It was kind of, and I had this like, oh, shit, do I take this path or this path? And there was always a part of me that kind of like had that, well, what if you had followed your own path? It might not have led to these great heights, but it might have led to something else. And so I kind of just jumped back on that path.
Yeah, fuck it. I mean, like, I respect the fuck out of it, dude. Like, that's just to me. That's just. I mean, like, as like another like example, sort of like that is like when Dave Chappelle walked away from like what was it, like $20 million or some crazy number that he walked away from the show, from the Dave Chappelle show, and was like, no, I'm not doing that. You're not gonna make me fucking do these things I don't want to do and tell me what I gotta do. And
yeah, and it's like, yeah, I think I've always been designed to be my own boss. I just like with the managers and the record and just like the bigger you get, the more of these like voices and opinions. And I just was going through Hollywood and having like 25 people come into your green room, that is supposed to be the sacred band space,
yeah.
and that normally is. And then all of a sudden these people come in and just ruin everything. It's just like, exactly.
No, and like even on the scale of bands that I've played with over the years, like even when it's just people coming in, just sort of barging in that just you can tell are not supposed to be there, even that is just like, we're trying to fucking vibe here, bro. We gotta go like pour our hearts out into this fucking room full of strangers. Like
home right now, because like when you're on tour too, like that becomes a thing that people don't fully understand, of just like that you don't have a home like when you're on tour.
Yes.
And this is like, like I'm just trying to fucking get through the day, man. Like it's like someone walking into your house, like
right.
fucking changing your Netflix over to Fox News and being like
Talking all close to your face and shit.
and stealing drinks.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is free. Dude, yeah, that's that is your home. You're absolutely right. Like you're there, like you're in my living room, bro. You're gonna just live. So the new album is Telescope, and the new song is fucking awesome. It's fantastic. I wish we could play it, but we can't because Twitch is, well, you don't know, but Twitch has these DCMA or copyright infringement rules and shit, so we can't play anything. But it's amazing, and I was able to play some live stuff at the beginning, so you guys got a vibe of what you're getting here. So tell me about the new single. Tell me what the song means to you, and what you're trying to do with it, and you can go into it as far as you want. It almost feels gross asking people to explain their songs and art to me, but like you could just however you want to explain it.
I mean, I'm psyched about this record. I think it's really cool in the way that we went into like I don't say legit because the studio we made our last record in is great and I love that record too, but we went and just into like a bigger room with a bigger console and like more of a traditional studio with a really big live room with the sole purpose of playing as a complete band. Nice. And performing the songs. And we had been rehearsing the songs for like 3 months, 4 months before that as a band, 3 nights a week, 3-4 hour rehearsals, just grinding,
Wow.
grinding. And so that's kind of what felt good about it. It kind of felt like when you like go to the gym and you work out and you're just fucking pushing and you're eating and you're like, oh, look at that muscle,
Yeah, man, it feels
And
good.
it felt like as a band, like the work was put in, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like mowing your whole lawn and then looking at it.
Fuck yeah.
And that's so I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of like, everyone just really kind of dug in and put in the work. So when we hit the studio, it was kind of like, and we hired an engineer. I didn't really have to think about any of that. I mean, I had some say in some stuff here and there, but like for the most part, I was like, I want to perform and focus on that. And we did. We had 2 percussionists. We had our friend Mitchum Yakub play on the whole record. So him and Ty are both on percussion. So we just heavy. They brought in all their shit too, man. It was like just so many conga drums and jawbones and turtle shells and shit that I've never seen before. So it was very textured, drive. Matt was out there. And so yeah, I think we did it the right way for being the band that we are, for being a big live band that like is focused on rhythm and that propulsive kind of sound. And then having toured a lot and having played together a lot, because Mitchum had gone out and done a bunch of tours with us. So like we had just played a lot together. And then to rehearse for 3-4 months and then to go cut it in a week.
Wow.
Really we cut all the basic tracks, I think, in 5 days.
Damn.
I mean, not they don't say basics, pretty much almost everything. We did a few, thickening up the horn sections here and there or whatever. So that's dope.
That's dope.
It was dope for me because
For sure.
the other records I had made was more of like one thing at a time. Was the first record. The second record was drums, bass, guitar, and percussion, but then adding the horns and the vocals and everything on later. Which is cool too. All those things are cool,
Yeah,
but I think for what we are and what we grew into, and that we had been touring and playing together, I think this was the right way to do it. So and it felt exciting after all that time playing. And we played a live show too, and in Laguna Beach, like to like a shitty bar that like no one was listening, and like purposely booked that gig so we could play the entire album live.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. So you can get video and stuff?
Not even, no, just so we could just like, because there's no practice like performing live. You can rehearse for 3 months, but then you go out on stage for one show and it's like the equivalent of like 2 of those months.
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man.
So we kind of went in, but then we at the same time we didn't have the songs weren't overcooked because we hadn't been touring on them and stretched out the solo sections and all that stuff.
So
I mean, that's the record. That's my rundown quickly of the record. And then we had Colin Dupuis mix it, which is exciting for us, as he was Dan Auerbach's of the Black Keys engineer.
Oh, nice.
He recorded and mixed the Dr. John album.
Oh,
he did
with Auerbach,
which won a Grammy. Yeah. So it's like, so we sent him all our stuff, and he mixed it, which we're pretty stoked about. So it's the whole thing from the ground up. We kind of swung for the fences. That's in a way we haven't yet,
Yeah.
And I way more time writing this, because before the first record, I was writing it as I was making the song.
Wow.
With this one, it was like I spent a year, on and off, pretty much like just like going to a rehearsal space, working it out, like sitting down at the keyboard and like really trying to craft like good songs, thinking about it.
When was this recorded?
About 3 weeks before lockdown.
Oh shit! So it's been just shelved for like over a year.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, well, yeah, we finished it. Really, it was done by the summer.
Wow.
And then we were going to go out on tour in August, and we just can't really afford to like put out an album and not tour behind it.
Right.
Put money into it, and we just didn't seem like the right thing to do after how much energy we had put into it, to just be like, yeah, here you go. Something.
There it is.
Like, fuck that. We're gonna roll this thing out.
So then are you guys planning a tour in the fall then, as things open?
We're gonna tour in August.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, that seemed, I mean, it's all been a guesstimate until now,
Right.
So I'm like, okay, that seems like things will be happening at least outside by then. So
right. Yeah, man. I mean, fuck, dude, that was crazy. No one saw that coming, right? Like, Jesus,
Yeah.
my whole fucking, I had tours planned and fucking, a whole year worth of fucking shows all the way to the end of the year. It's just like one night, boom, it's gone. You're like, ugh. Did you guys have like tours and stuff, a tour booked yet, or were you guys just worried about finishing?
Yeah, we had shows.
Mm.
We had some our best paying shows ever too. It was like, oh yeah, this is great. Here it comes. You know.
Finally.
Yep.
Yeah. God damn so then how was that for you then? Like getting your doing this album and then, having to just sort of shelve it. And then what did you end up doing over this last year?
I just kind of accepted it, like all of us did. I think it was such a big shock to the system. So it was like I was bummed about that, but I was also kind of like, trying to just, get grounded.
Trying to get enough toilet paper to wipe your ass,
Pretty much, dude. Trying to get the groceries to the house, figure out what to do with my dog and my kid, and like how to just live through it.
Were you guys in San Diego still, or have you already moved?
My wife and I were, and yeah, and we were. That was part of the reason I moved back here. Is just like her family's back here. I'm closer to my family. We can drive. They're just getting scary for a while of like, what if someone gets sick? I'll never see them. And it was like, it really kind of like shit got real, and when shit gets real, it's kind of like, well, what would you do? If this was if this was your last month on earth, what would you do? And it's like, friends and family.
We gotta release this album.
I don't care about my career aspirations, And so it just, it all worked out to come. So we moved in September across the country, which was crazy too.
Did you drive?
I drove a van full of gear and my dog, and my wife flew, and we had like 3 moving trucks because she has a fabric company that just like has a huge warehouse and rolls. It was like moving like fucking, Michael's.
Oh my God. Your equipment plus fabric. Like, wow.
There's nothing compared to her shit too. Like,
wow.
That's crazy. The whole band came over. It was the first time we had seen each other since the pandemic. Was they came over to my house and like, all 6 of us masked up and like carried couches and TVs. And, oh yeah, man. It's
nice.
Family.
Yeah, man. I love those. I love that now, like this idea, and even back when I was a younger man, but like the bands that I form with now, like, because I'm very choosy now who I jump in a band with, because I'm fucking almost 40, bro. I'm not trying to deal with some young mouthy little punk. I'm not trying to fucking be in this band where everybody's like, like I'm just here to fucking play. I'm here to chill. And if we can make jokes and jam real nice together, then we're gonna be friends. that's about the basics now. To make new friends now, you have to be able to. I have to jam with you, be able to jam with you, and fucking get along with you. So that's how I make friends now. But
what it is, man. You gotta. It's like the hang is for many more hours than the show.
For sure.
So yeah, you gotta get along. There's gotta be because we talked about that. We like one of our members, I won't say who, has been in some other bands where he's like, hey, you get in the van, it's like everyone puts their fucking hoods up and their headphones on, and no one like there's just no fun.
Yeah.
We get in the road and it's like we haven't even played music for 3 hours. We're like, going over like from porn to politics.
Oh, dude, no, I always tell people like the van is probably the closest thing to like the seats where the comics sit in a comedy club. You know how there's like a bench or a table where the comics sit, and I feel like that's the closest, because comics say the most heinous and horrible things to each other, but like when you get a group of dudes in a van who are musicians, there's just some heinous, awful, philosophical, fucking beautiful things. Like it's probably the closest thing to a comics table as you could get, because it is gross. It is absolutely disgusting.
It's the closest thing I feel to like when I was like 12 years old and I like went camping with like my buddies, like it's like if you watch the movie Stand By Me, like that's kind of like the van.
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, for like grown-ups, like
for
it's like
sure
R-rated, but like but I've never laughed as hard as I have in the van, with the crew.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. And that's what it's all about, man. If you can't hang these days anyway. I mean, I'm sure there's young people out there right now who are biting the bullet and sitting next to someone they hate just because they fucking are in a band together and they're like 21, well, not right now, but they will be here in a couple months. They will be sitting next to someone they hate. And that's weird, but that's, this is how it is. I don't know. Maybe the kids today seem to be a little bit more balanced in the fact that they're more prone to recognize that they have mental illness instead of like in our generations where we just sort of plow through it and fucking drink and fucking be like, fuck it, that don't exist. It's just
those things where it's like, it wasn't good when like, our parents or even like our grandparents' generation like didn't talk about anything, everything was buried and broken, and
exactly.
But then it's like on the other side of the coin, sometimes it's like with social media, it's like people are just like almost like faking mental illness for attention. They're just like, please let me tell you, or it's like everyone's got a fucking thing now. It's like
I just said that, and somebody in my chat, at the very last podcast I had, someone in chat was like, that's not true. Mental illness is not a trend. I'm just like, bro, you're telling me that every person on Facebook who is under 25 is fucking bipolar and fucking depressed and has anxiety? They might.
On some level, like, I think we all have, every human being alive has a mental illness, and if you shine a big enough magnifying glass on it, it's like, you can expose it and analyze it. And so we're all broken.
Oh, of course.
That's fine. Yeah. It's just, it's like when it's used as kind of like a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it can be used as a means to getting attention.
Yes. Or showing some sort of moral support, superiority. It's like, as someone who suffers from mental illness, I can say for sure that is a very offensive thing that you just said.
I know, but it's like, I struggle with this. I mean, my wife and I talk about this all the time.
Oh yeah, me too. My wife too.
Yeah, because it's like, it's one of those things. It's like it needs to be said. It needs to be dealt with. Shit has been fucked up. Mm. People have been slighted over and over and over again. But then it's like sometimes people can take it too far, and everything is offensive. Right. And it's like. I don't know. Neither side's totally right.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. I say it all the time. It's like there is actual truth. I know you got to wrap up here soon. So
okay, man. No worries.
Okay. You had to be out by 3, right?
Yeah, maybe 5 minutes, man. I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I forgot what I was gonna say anyway. So fuck. It don't matter anyways. That's how it works. I smoke too much weed and I can't remember what I was just going to say.
Oh, I love what you said in the beginning, the Fauci ouchie. I've never heard that before.
You've never heard the Fauci ouchie? That's like the meme of the fucking century. Like it's fucking like the whole thing. No, we were talking about something and I was about to wait, no. What were we just
the right and the left?
Yeah. God damn it. I don't even think it was like that important of a thing to say. It's not like anything we said today was that important, but I'm just saying. Fauci ouchie. Yeah, your favorite today. Whatever. Who gives a fuck?
I like that in your vape pen in the beginning.
That was the problem. I hit the vape pen too hard. That's what happens when you hit the vape pen too hard. You forget what you're talking about in the middle of all this.
What was I saying?
Yeah, exactly. So then, what do you think? Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. I saw that they're trying to cancel Robert Downey Jr. right now, for Tropic Thunder, and I went on Twitter, which Twitter is. I just recently came to Twitter. I'm new to Twitter just because Twitch and Twitter they work together really well, but I went and searched the hashtag cancel RDJ. That's the hashtag. And there was like so many black people being like, I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. Robert Downey Jr. is a genius. Like, we gave him the pass years ago. It don't matter. But one of my favorites was, I have to read it because It's so fucking funny, and I posted it on my Instagram, and then I had to go to my wife and ask, like, "Hey, should I be posting this?" Because my wife is black, so like, I'll ask her things. I'll be like, "Hey, shit,
Fair,
is this okay?" And she was like, "I don't know." She's like, most people know who are in your Instagram, so it'd probably be cool, but I don't know. I'm sure someone out there's gonna be like, "Fuck you, Mikey P." So this is what this dude says. His name Antoine and something Coco. He says, "Y'all N-words trying to cancel our RDJ for what? That N-word was hilarious in Tropic Thunder. Y'all need dick. Fuck out of here. White people stupid." And I just was like, and it's all like not even complete sentence. Fuck out of here. Period. White people stupid. Period. Y'all need dick. Period. I was like, y'all need dick is my favorite. Y'all need dick.
I love that shit.
I do too. I do too. I love that. I love that. Even like I love that all these like upper crust white people have decided to tell black people how to feel about things. And then I love how black people respond to it. That's like my favorite part is just like, what are you even talking about? But I think my favorite part about last summer, which was a horror show, but my favorite part, which is not, was when white people started like getting on their knees and like apologizing to black people. I thought that look, I know that might not be funny to some people, right? But I thought that shit was so hilarious. And as a Mexican man, I can say that that wasn't offensive. No, okay. No, but personally, I fucking I couldn't imagine, because I've asked black people, like I've asked, so I know asking your one black friend doesn't qualify for all the black people's opinion in the world. But I've asked several black people that are in my circle, I was like, what would you do if some white person started fucking just getting on their knees and like saying they're sorry? They laugh my ass off. I would just start laughing. It's funny. It's funny that these and God bless those white folks who are just trying to make amends for the horror that white people have put on the world. But still, that shit was hilarious.
So mixed up.
Anyways, with that said, Scott Tournet, thank you so much for coming on the show. When exactly is Telescope going to be released?
I think August 23rd, I believe.
August 20.
Yeah, we've got, so our single is Wake Up, and that's what's out right now. And then we got a couple more singles coming out before that.
Nice. And then when you hit the road, you said in August?
We're big, and our song is big in Brazil so far.
Oh, really? Hey, well, dude, I mean, it has those rhythms.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, wait, what? Like looking at our Spotify numbers, I was like, wait, Brazil is the biggest country for us right now.
Hey, man, fucking polyrhythms fucking go. Yeah. That's why I love your band too, because it's like it's rock and roll, but it fucking has that polyrhythm that I just love that, man. Like that Fela Kuti shit just fucking gets my rock hard, baby, rock hard.
Apples and cheese, man. We're going for conflicting flavors, making a greater flavor.
but you guys do it so well, and I know you gotta go, so I won't pull you into. But real quickly, what was sort of the impetus to mix these two genres together?
Just being bored with American rhythms, being bored with Four on the Floor, loving Fela Kuti so much, loving Carlos Santana's performance at Woodstock so much.
Yeah.
Being so fucking moved by those two things. Those two things specifically were huge inspirations to me. And so it's just like, fuck, those rhythms are so good. Yeah. And Tony Allen kicks in on the drums. It's so good. Oh, yeah. And I just want to play that. But also like, trying to do some Afrobeat and shit, just being like, I can't do a 20-minute Afrobeat song. And I'm not going to sing like that. And it's not going to work. It's going to be horrible if this like white guy from, grew up in Vermont. Like, so I was like, I gotta, I love that shit so much, but I got to do something else. And so I just chipped away at it and like started doing more like the things that I'm comfortable with on top of that stuff. Yeah. And that's kind of how we stumbled on the flavor, It's like, you don't know sometimes until you try it.
Oh,
of like who like the first person who was putting together peanut butter and chocolate or whatever. It's like he probably stumbled on some terrible recipes as well, and I did too along the way. I was like, what if I didn't? No, don't do that. You know.
Oh, hey man, you know we gotta find your way, and then once you find it, fuck it.
And I found the formula. The first song that really was the formula was the song "Expectation" on our first record, and it was like, that's okay, like that fucking.
I could do this.
Somehow it's like a 4-minute song with like with a bridge and verses and choruses, and it's over a straight up Afro beat groove.
Yeah.
And it's got horns in it and reversed Jimi Hendrix guitars and shit.
It's like, what's not to love, motherfuckers? You can find Scott in the chat, everyone. Go ahead and click on those links. You can find his Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the website. Go click around. Go follow your boy. Go support Scott and Elektric Voodoo. And Scott, I really appreciate it. And anyone listening, all those links will be in the show notes. So go click around and support your boy. Scott Tournet, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You were fucking amazing. I had a great conversation. And they're going wild for you, Scott. They're going wild for you. Okay. All right, Scott. Oh, no one even did that yet. All right, Scott. You have a great rest of your day, my friend. And I will talk to you soon. All right.
Good, buddy.
Yeah, man. Peace. All right, everybody. Scott Tournet of fucking Elektric Voodoo. Love Scott. Scott's been on the show before, and he's just a thank you for those woos. Yeah, you guys didn't put any woos during the thing. I forgot to even turn it off. Thanks, Val. I appreciate it. Yeah. What a fucking great. See, this is